This world can be a dark, lonely place. It's easy to lose your way. The light from your dreams becomes harder to chase. The words won't come, you don't know what to say. When we come together, the storms we can weather. Don't let go of me, we'll get through this, you'll see. Like pictures from the past, we were meant to last. There's nothing we can't do when we come together. United we stand, divided we fall. This is the battle cry that unites us all. Come with me, let's show what we can do. We can't do it without you.
Everybody, welcome in, welcome in, welcome to Conversations with Christy. How are you? I'm so excited that you guys are here with us today. We are going to talk about the sun in Taurus, and I feel like I'm ready for this energy. I don't know, maybe it's not as exciting as I think it's going to be, but I just keep going. It's grounded and it's fixed, which means it's stable and it's earthy. And right now, that is good. And before we get started, I wanted to share something that Karina shared with me off screen. She said, fighting the good fight every day can be exhausting and it's not easy. So if you guys are out there fighting the good fight and you're exhausted, I want to give you some encouragement because I was feeling that way a little while ago and Karina just had some beautiful encouragement and I wanted to share it. So if you guys are feeling a little whatever today, like just know this too shall pass.
I love that. And that's such a, honestly, even our conversation before we went live here, it's very indicative of the mood of the year,
Yeah.
And we talked about
Yeah.
kind of this really crazy energy in the episode in December or early January where we talked about what this year was going to
Right.
look like. And it
Right.
is just, it's hard enough to sort of
Mhm.
stay disciplined and stay the course when everything around you is stable. But when
Mhm.
everything is changing, it starts to feel like, what direction am I even pointed in? And am I just like putting all my energy into rowing my boat in a totally wrong direction? Or, the waves have shifted and now do I need to go back the other way? And now the wind is coming from a different
Right.
direction. And so I think it is, yeah, like that energy, it's sort of, we're all feeling it to some degree of like, what am I even doing here? And it is surprising how many people I have talked to recently who are just like, what is the point? What is the point to what
Right.
I'm doing? What is the point to any of this? So for anyone
Right.
else out there who's kind of struggling, this is kind of where we're at, in the
Right.
energies. And March and April were kind of two of the
Mhm.
craziest sets of energies because we had the nodes changing signs, we had eclipse season, we had Neptune moving from
Yeah.
Pisces to Aries. And so, yeah, there really just has been some pretty cataclysmic shifts. By the
Right.
time we get to the end of Taurus season, some of this will be settling down. The craziest part of the year, um,
Huh?
there'll still be a few surprises probably in the rest of the year when
Right.
Uranus moves into Gemini in June, but a lot of the craziest energy will kind of be past. And at least we can feel like, okay, I know what road I'm on. I know what direction I'm pointed in. I know what my
Right.
goal is. Whereas right now,
Huh?
again, all of that just feels so in flux. So yeah, I feel like honestly, Christy, that is a wonderful segue into talking about the energy of Taurus. Like, welcome to Neptune changing signs, everybody.
Right.
Aren't we fortunate it only
Right.
does this every 14 years? Because the
I
shifts
tell
are
ya.
huge.
Well, and I even this morning, guys, I don't normally angry journal. I'm normally like really just okay, I'm feeling this way and it's because of this and that. And today I was like, I hate life. And I mean, I just went from there. I was like, no. And so uh, yeah, it really kind of feels that way. Now, guys, I don't seriously hate my life. I love my life. I just woke up angry.
Mhm.
This is where that swordsy, I got up this morning and I was like, oh, girl, you better do some breathing. Think before you talk. But also, since this is a live and we haven't had a live in a while, hello, Ben. Hello, Care Bear. Rudy, hello. Let's see, Victor. Hi. Who else did I see in here? Was that it? I think that's it. You guys, I do have, I think most of you that are in here know this, but I have been doing pre recorded. It's called Just the Tarot, and it's like between 30 and 40 minutes where we do some deep breathing. We just do a tarot reading, it's pre recorded. I don't expect you guys to hop off of somebody else's live to check it out, but do check it out throughout the day because it is really cool messages and I don't get sidetracked as easy. So that's probably beneficial too.
Oh.
But yes, yes. So, what are we looking
So,
at for
okay.
this
Yeah.
season?
So, first of all, again, keeping in mind that we have, this Neptune having changed signs. Neptune is all about our hopes, our dreams, our fantasies. So there's a huge
Oh,
upheaval in that. So keeping in mind that
right.
everything we talk about with Taurus and over the next couple of months is going to be in the context of this backdrop of what am I
Mhm,
even doing? What is even my
mhm,
purpose? Yeah,
right.
what are my dreams? What are my fantasies? And we're all kind of working through
Hmm.
that together. So within that context, so the sun goes into Taurus in just a few days on April 19th. It immediately squares Mars in Leo. So Mars will
Mm-hmm.
just moved into Leo. And, for those of you who have been keeping track, we started a Mars retrograde cycle back in December. Mars retrograded very, very slowly out of Leo back into Cancer. Then it stationed. Then it felt like it stayed towards the end of Cancer forever before it finally started picking up speed again and moving back. And it will have just moved into Leo. So it will kind of be at that first degree of Leo as the sun moves
Hmm.
into Taurus, first degree of Taurus, and we'll get a square there. Um, Normally Mars squares aren't the most peaceful energy. Um,
Right.
but I think what Mars does bring Taurus and the sun in Taurus specifically is kind of a get up and go energy. Taurus by
Hmm.
itself is pretty happy to sit under a tree and just be,
Uh-huh.
which can be
Right.
beautiful energy sometimes. But that Mars square
Right.
is going to be a little bit like, you're sitting under the tree and you kind of got an itchy butt and you're like, no, I got to get up and do things. So I think there will be, as the sun enters Taurus, normally going from Aries to Taurus, it kind of feels like this, just this exhale,
Yeah.
relax. It won't
Right.
quite feel like that. It is going to feel a little bit more like, okay, yes, there's some energy coming down, but I still got to
Mhm.
be moving. I think
Right.
the
Okay.
really nice part of this energy as the sun moves into Taurus, even with that Mars square, is Aries has just been a lot, people. It has been a lot. Like we had our final eclipse on the Aries Libra axis. We've got Neptune in Aries
Yeah.
now. We've got this whole retrograde of Mercury and Venus that is going between Pisces and Aries. The sun has
Hmm.
been in Aries on top of all of that. So there's so much Aries energy right now, and Aries
Yeah.
energy is not meant to last. It's just not.
Hmm.
It's a cardinal sign. It's that initial spark that gets the fire going, but you can't light a campfire all night and keep it going with Aries energy. You really need Leo
Right.
energy for that, more of the fixed fire. So it's almost like we've been trying to keep going. And I didn't even think about this when we were talking before the show, Christy, but that, keep fighting the good fight. That is
Uh-huh.
sort of what we've all been trying to do, but that is not
Mhm.
what Aries does. Aries wants to fight the
Right.
good fight. Totally. Aries loves to fight, but Aries wants to get in, fight the fight, and be done. And so
Mhm.
this kind of like extended period where we have to keep fighting the fight, it continues to be challenging day after day. Aries just isn't good at that. And so I think, you know, as the sun moves into Taurus, we'll be able to step into a more sustainable path for each of us. So rather than like
Mhm.
just burning energy we don't have, which is very Aries, we're going to say, okay, what needs to be sustainable here? Are there areas where I need to cut back? Am I taking on too much? Are there pieces of what I'm doing that aren't really contributing to my goals? And I want to,
Mhm.
remove energy from those. So I think with the sun moving into Taurus and away from all of that Aries craziness, we'll immediately start to feel more of a recentering and grounding, and then be able
Mhm.
to use that Mars square to kind of say, okay, where do I want to refocus my efforts? The fight must continue to
Mm.
be fought. We must
Right.
continue. We must keep on keeping on. So, how can I do that in a way that's sustainable for me? So, I think
Right.
all of us are going to be feeling that as the sun goes into Taurus on the 19th. Um, and also, you know, this is so the part of Taurus season I am the least excited about is we're going to get our third and final Mars Pluto opposition. So
Mhm.
typically, just as a quick refresher for people, Pluto moves very, very slowly around the zodiac. It takes 248 years ish for it to go around the zodiac once. So Pluto almost stands still, even over the course
Right.
of 2 years, 5 years, a decade. So it kind of stays still. Mars goes around the zodiac about once a year. Once every 2 years, we get a retrograde cycle. So it kind of works out to once every year. So typically we would get one Mars Pluto opposition a year.
Mhm.
However,
Mhm.
just because of the way the planets were oriented and where Mars was when it went retrograde, it
Yeah.
retrograded over that Pluto opposition. So we were like, oh, here's a Pluto opposition. Then Mars retrograded. Ding, there's the second. Then Mars continued to retrograde. Now it's finally going forward again, but we're going to get that third and final Mars Pluto opposition. And these are power struggles. They are always power struggles. Now, it's important to think back to the first two Mars Pluto oppositions for each person here,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
um, whenever we have these kind of series of, of
Mhm.
oppositions, caused by these retrogrades, nothing new. You're not going to see anything new here with this Mars Pluto
Right.
opposition. This is the
Right.
closing out of the Mars Pluto opposition cycle. So we
Mhm.
had our first Mars Pluto opposition. I think it was early December early November, and our second late December between Christmas and New Year's. So for
Uh-huh.
each person, kind of think through what was going on in your life at those times.
Yeah.
If nothing significant, great. Those probably aren't hitting important parts in your chart, and you're probably not going to feel this one much
Right.
either. If there were
Right.
some pretty big things going on in your life around those times, this is
Mhm.
probably going to be kind of the closing chapter. Um, what I do like about the Mars Pluto opposition is whereas the first two would have felt more open ended, like
Mhm.
a lack of closure, some difficulties,
Mhm.
power struggles, but no closure. We're likely
Mhm.
to get a little bit more of a bookend after this
Okay.
last one. And,
Okay.
again, it doesn't mean everything is going to be tied up neatly with a bow, because this is life and very few things in life are ever that clean. But there will,
Right.
even if it's just some level of acceptance or reflection and closure that we find,
Mhm.
yeah, these final sets of the opposition, yeah, they're probably not going to be very pleasant if the first two weren't very pleasant, but there will be a
Right.
sense of like, okay, I'm ready to close that chapter. I'm taking a last
Mm.
final look and then I'm going to kind of be done with
Mm.
this for now.
So then if
So,
somebody is like in disconnection with somebody, say that it started at the beginning and then it kind of got worse in the middle, this is going to be the acceptance of that, the okay, I'm not going to be able to change that, but this is where I'm at with that, maybe writing an unsent letter or a eulogy in your journal, something like that to kind of close that out for yourself because maybe you can't reach out to
mm,
them, but it's still going to be really raw. Is that, and I'm asking for
it
myself
certainly could.
personally.
Yeah, it certainly could be.
Why?
I love the idea of the unsent letter or the eulogy anytime we're sort of hitting the end of something, whether it's the end of a planet in a sign or the end of, the series of oppositions. Um, exactly what this, third and final Mars Pluto opposition looks like, it is going to be different depending on each person's individual chart. It
Sure,
could
sure.
be, like, I guess the Mars Pluto opposition is just never going to be the happily ever after ending. That's just
Right,
not, Mars is
right.
kind of war, conflict, and
Mhm.
Pluto is power dynamics and struggles.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's just never going to quite be and they all lived happily ever after. So it would
Uh-huh.
be more of the energy of, yeah, acceptance or finding a way to close it out for yourself. And, the
Right,
beautiful thing about some of these energies, you probably won't have to try to do this. It will probably
right.
be more like for each person, you'll feel this need to gain some closure.
Mhm.
And I love how Care Bear
Mhm.
calls out, I turn it into poems. Yeah,
Yes.
so much of this will be about getting the energy out of us so that it's not
Right.
inside and festering and unhealed. And it could
Mhm.
be getting it out in a eulogy or an unsent letter or a poem. I know, Christy, you're a songwriter. It could be a song. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
there will be this kind of sense of like, okay, whatever was kind of going on early to
Mhm.
mid-November, and then again between Christmas and New Year's, it's time to kind of
That's
find
what
some
it is.
closure there. And then there could even be some event that demands that closure.
Right.
One thing I have seen
Sure.
with kind of Mars Pluto oppositions is sometimes someone will make a power play, kind of one
Mm.
last final power play, and then there's kind of a, okay, this is the last time this is going to happen,
Right.
kind of thing.
Oh.
But so sometimes there's something
Yeah.
external that will precipitate kind of the need for closure and letting go and not allowing that to be part of your energy space anymore. But this
Mhm.
is coming, and it really starts at the beginning of Taurus season. We start feeling this energy and this, like, hey,
Mhm.
there's this thing I've really got to close out. Because once Mars moves into Leo, it basically has, Pluto is at like 3 degrees right now of Aquarius.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
immediately kind of within orb of influence as soon as it moves into Leo. And so, yeah,
Gotcha.
we'll be feeling that right away around the 19th, even
And
though it's
I
not
wanted
until the
to,
26th that Mars is exactly opposite Pluto. We'll be feeling it before then.
I did want to give a little shout out. This isn't being braggy. I did write a song actually about
Cute.
being disconnected. It is not an easy song to listen to, uh, but you can. Oh, guys, it's been a day. But you
Mm.
can go over to Cosmic Connection, to Cosmic Christie's channel. She did the music. She did the AI music for it, and it's got like 100 views already. And it's called "I Remember You," and it was written about my
Oh,
kids.
oh my
All right, hold on.
gosh, Christy. Oh, and one thing I just love so much about Christy is she shows up in such an authentic, real way. And there's not like trying to appear perfect or be perfect, but just showing up in the human reality that we all are part of. I appreciate that so much about you.
Right. Oh, well, if you, Cosmic did a great job on it. All I did was put the words down. She did everything. So if you guys haven't given it a listen, go listen to it. There's a whole show where she talks about the inspiration of it and everything like that. It was on Saturday. So Saturday was the 12th,
Mm,
13th, 12th, 12th, 13th,
12th,
something like
12th.
that. The 12th. So if you go over and you watch that, oh, there we go. Ben's got it up. She explains it. And I literally just, had a bad day, sat down, I wrote it in like 10 minutes, and she came back and she goes, "Can I put this to music?" And I'm like, "You can do whatever you want to with it."
Mm,
Don't care. And so get some tissues if you listen to it, because it really is when when I write, I listen to other songs to get into that frequency, uh, um, and that vibe. So I was listening to Whiskey Lullaby by Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that. If you've heard that,
yeah.
it's got that kind of vibe to it. So just be prepared. But I
Mm.
wanted to share that because you said you might write a song, and I was like, that's exactly what I did.
Oh. Well, that is again a beautiful way to take some of this energy, use it to help others heal, and also externalize it so it doesn't have to stay inside of you.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
love that
yeah.
so
Get
much.
it out, guys. If you hear weird noises, the wind is blowing, those are my awnings blowing around, but everything is fine. So anyway, go ahead, Karina. So what are we expecting after this?
Okay. So for this whole first week, after the sun moves into Taurus, Venus pretty much stays on top of Saturn in the last few degrees of Pisces. And normally Venus moves quickly. Venus moves more than 1 degree a day. So it would not just
Mhm.
sit on top of Saturn. But Venus has been recently retrograde, and the planets slow down as they retrograde, and then it takes them some time to kind of speed up and get forward momentum again. And so Venus is moving really slowly, so it does stay on top of Saturn for pretty much that whole first week of Taurus season. So
Mhm.
that's honestly not a bad energy. There's a lot about that energy that is really good. Um,
Mhm.
but again, it's not really the fun,
Right,
relaxing energy. It's more of
right.
a uh, like there's a discipline and
Hmm.
a soberness that we will bring to any art we
Yeah.
create. Even just thinking
Hmm.
about your song, Christy,
Hmm.
that's not like a fun, lighthearted song. That's a Venus
Right.
and Saturn song where Venus is about the
Yeah.
love, the relationships, but Saturn is about boundaries, hard realities, difficulties. And so, you know, yeah, maybe this is a time to write a whole album, Christy, with those, some of those bigger themes. And maybe some other people on this
Right.
channel would want to contribute. But this is the energy I think a lot of us are going to be
Hmm.
feeling, that yeah, even the things that we have love for, we find beauty in, like artistic
Hmm.
expression, it won't be a fun time. It will be some of that
Right.
deeper, heavier, real
Right.
stuff,
Right.
which, some amazing music, poetry does tend to come out of those times. I think all
Hmm.
of us will kind
Yeah.
of nod our head along to like the latest pop song, but it doesn't really stick with us the way some of
Right.
those
Right.
real deep songs do. So, yeah, for those of you who are artistic, this is a time, whatever that deep stuff is that Mars Pluto opposition
Mhm.
is bringing out, get it out, get it out in
Yeah.
some, artistic expression. It will heal you. And if you share that with others, as Christy did with her song, it can help others heal as well. So there's kind of yeah, for that whole first week, as we're leading up to that exact Mars Pluto opposition, and we're starting to
Hmm.
feel the intensity of like the friction, the power imbalances, the
Right.
conflict. Yeah, we'll have Venus right there on top of Saturn, basically saying, how do we make something beautiful out of this?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So that first week, we'll be feeling it. We'll all be feeling it, but it's not going to be,
Right.
it's it's going to feel a little bit different than right now. Right
Mhm.
now, everything just feels upside down and disorienting, and I don't even know what direction I'm going in, nor do I really know what direction I want to be going in. Everything is just
Right.
unknown with,
Right.
the sun and Neptune in Aries. But as the sun moves into Taurus, we'll start to feel more grounded. We'll start to feel our purpose kind of congealing. Um,
Mhm.
but it's almost like when we're all topsy turvy, we can't
Mhm.
necessarily process things enough to,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's almost like everything is so up in the air. We're just kind of living day to day, and so
Yes.
as Taurus grounds us down, yeah, the energy, it'll just feel different because the topsy turviness will start to lessen, and we'll feel more of a sense of
Mhm.
purpose and groundedness. But in doing that, we'll kind of realize, oh, there are some things I am feeling and have not fully dealt with or healed from, um,
Right.
and I didn't realize it fully before because everything was moving, but now I'm really feeling it, and now it's time to kind of,
Mhm.
yeah, get that out, do something beautiful, and meaningful with that.
Yeah. I love that, And for me, and we kind of talked about this, creativity is how I process that. And so,
Mm,
but you're absolutely right in getting it out, not allowing it to stick in your energy. Because there's so many, it makes it worse, if you
yeah.
just let it sit. And this is a good time to, if you've been journaling, like Karina said, go back and look. Like, I know exactly, I don't even have to bust out my journal
Mm,
to know exactly what was going on because it was like that big. But this is where journaling, writing down things today, guys. I even went back and looked at, Karina had done a personal reading for me, and I went back for the year look ahead, and I'm like, what is going on? Like,
mm,
what's going on here? So this is the real reason why we're like, write it down, journal it, is so that when these moments come up and we're like, okay, so go back, what did it look like then? It's not because we want to preach at you and tell you what to do, but it's because we want to help you to know, okay, like me, I'm kind of bracing for it. I'm upping my spiritual practice. I'm
mm,
waking up in the mornings, I'm meditating more, I'm walking, I'm trying to be gracious and mindful and have
mm,
gratitude, because when me personally, when I can do those things, it helps me. Now, again, it doesn't mean that I don't wake up in the morning and just be like, this is awful, this is awful, this is awful, this is awful. But and it's not that it's even truly awful. It's just, my mood. So yeah,
yeah. And I love that Ben calls out, that's interesting because I kind of feel that way already. And I think he's referring to,
yeah,
the topsy turviness is starting to go away, and
yeah,
there's kind of that grounding. And it's
right,
also true that
right,
there, not all of these energies are like a switch flip. Sometimes
right.
there really is kind of a melding of energies as,
Hmm.
planets move sort of away from something and towards something else. So, yeah, depending on each person's individual chart, what planets they may have around there, it could feel more gradual or more abrupt. As a
Right,
Taurus sun who doesn't have any planets in Aries, I think for me, it tends to feel a lot more sudden because it kind of goes from
right.
not interacting with anything in Aries to like, oh yeah, now it's interacting with my sun and some other planets in Taurus. But yeah, each
Yeah, and
person is going to feel that differently.
I feel it build. I feel it building, 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 and then it's just kind of like this.
The A lot of times these energy, yeah, they do build. They do build. It's almost like
Mm.
it has to hit that crescendo wave
Right,
part. And then that's sort of the climax part of that wave. Um, and so, yeah, that first week, an amazing time for doing anything artistic. But yeah, if you're trying to do the fun kind of art, not a good time for that. This is going to be, if you're willing to kind of go down and do the really, really deep stuff, there is some incredible
Mm-hmm.
beauty that can come out of that. And I'm really excited to hear your song, Christy.
Oh,
Um,
it's yeah.
and then on the 26th, we get Mars exactly opposite Pluto. So that energy that has been building, that's going to go exact. And because Mars is still not fully picked up speed and is still moving kind of slowly, we'll feel that for about a week after the
Right.
26th. But
Okay.
there's just, I feel like there's such a huge difference between a planet approaching exact and a planet moving past exact. So,
Oh,
like, we'll feel it in the week after,
mhm.
but not as intensely. It's going to feel more like
Gotcha.
the after effects, the aftershocks, so to speak, the diminishing,
Mhm.
yeah, the slow diminishing. So it's, yeah, it won't erase and be completely done on the 26th, but the biggest intensity will be done.
And then we can
Um,
have fun.
Ben, I do actually feel like yes, yes. That third Mars Pluto opposition was one of the things, frankly, this year that I have been the least excited about. Mars Pluto is just
Yeah.
a lot. Normally, it goes pretty quickly, just a couple days each year. But because Mars has been moving so slowly and retrograde, it's been slowly moving over Pluto, and it's done it
Mhm.
3 times. So it just feels like it's been this continuous theme for the past
Mhm.
6 months, waxing and waning, but kind of a common theme. And it's just been a lot. And I do feel like
Right.
as we get this final one in our rearview mirror on the 26th,
Mhm.
it will start to be time for a little more lightheartedness. And
Right. Okay.
yeah, I'm kind of excited for what Taurus season will feel like as we move past that.
Right.
Uh,
Oh, good.
so the other thing that happens on the 26th as Mars moves opposite Pluto is Mercury moves out of its retrograde shadow. So Mercury has been moving direct for a little bit. Mercury retrograde
Mhm.
periods are, only 6 weeks total, but Mercury moves fully out of its retrograde shadow. So it is now in Aries and it is treading new ground, not just
Mhm.
going over the same old retrograde ground, starting on the 26th. So, when planets move out of their retrograde shadow, there really is this sense of like, okay, reflection time is over. We're ready to move
Mhm.
forward now. And so that
Mhm.
is going to feel, we've just had so much retrograde energy, so much in the first part of the year because Mars was retrograde for the longest time. And then within a few days of Mars moving direct, both Mercury and Venus stationed retrograde and started moving backwards at the same time. And so it's just been the retrograde energy so far in
Right.
2025 has been a lot. So I think Mars moving
Yeah.
out of its retrograde shadow and being in Mercury, there's going to be more of a focus on like maybe taking some trips or
Mhm.
uh, yeah, having like some real communication, conversation, maybe some conversations we've been putting off having. It's just going to feel more like,
Yeah.
okay, I can move forward. I don't only have to look back. Frankly, all of us collectively, we have done a ton of looking back and retrospection
Mhm.
and reflection in the last part of
Right.
2024, early part of 2025. So, yeah, I think Mercury moving out of its shadow is going to be that first gleam of like, hey, I'm ready to go forward. Maybe the second gleam. The first gleam was when Mars moved direct and was no longer retrograde. I would say the second gleam of like, hey, we can move forward is Mercury moving out of its retrograde shadow in Aries.
Right. Right.
Then, right after that, we have a new moon in Taurus. So, just as a reminder for people, when we have a new moon, the sun and the moon are in the same sign. They're essentially sort
Mhm.
of from the perspective of the earth, they're on top of each other, which is why we can't see the moon because, in the context of the sun is so big and so bright, it
Right.
completely drowns out the moon. Um,
Right. Right.
so, we'll have both the sun and the moon in Taurus. Um, and it will be kind of forming a T square with the Mars and
Mhm.
Pluto opposition. So we'll kind of have
Okay.
sun and moon here, and
Uh-huh.
Mars and Pluto here, and it'll kind of form a T.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, I wouldn't say this is a configuration I love. I think it's going to be one of those new moons that we look back on and say that was very productive and good for me, but maybe not
Mhm.
as fun at the moment. Usually, the moon being in Taurus is such a phenomenal time. The moon is exalted in
Yeah.
Taurus, grounded,
Yeah.
earthy, nurturing, beautiful. Historically, people planted crops with the moon in Taurus
Mhm.
because that was viewed as such
Mhm.
an auspicious time for growing things. So
Mhm.
this Taurus moon is not going to feel quite like that. Um, but there will be that sense with the Mars Pluto opposition just having gone exact and still being within an orb of influence, where it's almost like we're ready to plant the new seeds, Taurus
Mhm.
style.
Right.
If we think about like that Mars Pluto opposition being the final chapter in a book, then it becomes
Mhm.
okay, maybe those if those seeds are done and we're not really
Mhm.
revisiting those right now, what are the new
Mhm.
seeds we're planting instead? And
Oh,
I almost
okay.
like envision someone planting seeds, and there are probably some tears in planting the new seeds because of a
Right.
sadness over the old seeds that were lost, but
Right.
then maybe also some feelings of hope, because like, okay, there's
Mhm.
something past this. There are new things to be done, new seeds to be planted, so it's going to feel a
Mhm.
little bit bittersweet. um
Mhm.
but there, yeah, so the beautiful part about it, and this is true of all new moons, it represents new beginnings. And
Right.
so it's just
Mhm.
this particular new beginning isn't a totally fresh beginning. It's on the heels of kind of a big ending. So yeah, again,
Okay.
there's sort of that bittersweet of like what was lost, but then what can
Mhm.
be gained. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just gonna feel a little bit yeah, I think bittersweet is a good word for this new moon. I think it's a
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
good word. Um,
Mm. Mhm. Like
but the new
moving forward out of necessity rather than desire.
I love that, Christy.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Let's all take a moment. That.
Gotcha.
Because sometimes new moons are just, hey, we're moving forward. We're doing a
Mhm.
new thing. This is a new beginning. Um,
Right.
but sometimes it is like, I wasn't looking for a new beginning. I was
Right.
pretty okay with the old way. And
Right.
yeah, so this is much more like, okay, I'm beginning again because I have to. The
Right.
old seeds aren't
Okay.
there anymore, so I have to plant new seeds. So yeah,
Right.
I think that's a beautiful way of phrasing it and kind of captures the bittersweetness of it, where there are new
Right. Right.
opportunities, new beginnings, but it's not like we were looking for this.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, okay, so yeah, definitely there's some energy, in this first week of the sun in Taurus. Um, on April 30th, Venus moves into Aries, finally breaking that conjunction it has with Saturn. Um,
Mhm.
Good, great. This will
Yeah.
feel a lot more lighthearted. It does immediately move on top of Neptune in Aries. So
Mhm.
there will be a little bit of ambiguity, like we'll feel more lighthearted, like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
there's good things in the world, but we won't know exactly where those good things are. It'll be a little bit like,
Right.
I'm quite sure there's some good things here, but I'm not exactly
Mhm.
sure where to find them. But even just that internal optimism and hope, and,
Mhm.
you know, yeah, feeling more connected to people, kind of, yeah, if we've been pretty solo during the Sun and Aries time, this would be a really good time to start reconnecting with people, calling friends, getting
Mhm.
together with people, leaning on the people closest to us. Um,
Mhm.
any art we create now, rather than having kind of that deeper disciplined uh, space, it will be more like, the word that's coming to mind is psychedelic. That's not fully
Okay.
correct, but it's a little more like, yeah, we're good. We don't know why, we don't know how,
Right.
but we're feeling okay. And so
And
it's
there
just
might
going to
be
be
a
a little,
dragon.
there might be a dragon, but it might be a nice dragon. One never knows with dragons, you know. So it's gonna be I think it will make for some really interesting art if people want to continue
Right.
their artistic trend as Venus
Right.
moves, instead of being on top of Saturn, to being on top of Neptune in Aries. Yeah, and that is on the
Interesting.
30th. Then on May 1st, the very next day, Mars moves out of its retrograde shadow. So this
Mhm.
will officially end that 6-month Mars retrograde cycle. I know. I am so
Ready.
beyond ready for this. Mars retrogrades always hit me really hard, and they last 6 months.
Yeah.
So they're not like an in and
Yeah.
out thing, you're just like stuck with them.
Right. Right.
So this
Right.
is huge. Mars will be out of its retrograde shadow. It's picked up speed again, so it's moving at its normal speed. Um,
Mhm.
and it is past its Pluto opposition. So it's treading new ground in Leo, looking forward. No Pluto in
Mhm.
sight anymore. So
Right.
Mars is
Right.
really out of its tangle. So
Mm.
that I think is going to feel phenomenal. So March and April have just been some really cosmically tricky months. There have been absolutely some
Right.
big windows of opportunity and learning, so much reflection
Mhm.
in there, but they've been tricky. May 1st, as Mars moves out of its retrograde shadow, Venus and Mercury are no longer retrograde. There really is an energy of just like, okay, yeah, we're moving forward now. We have some optimism. Yeah, we know what our purpose is. We're feeling more grounded into that purpose. Um, so May 1st, it really feels like a shift for the next several months,
Right.
which I am very ready for personally.
Yes. Yes. I'm ready for up, onward and
Uh,
upward.
Onward and upward. Yes. Yes. And, Mars retrograde's always tricky, always 6 months. But again, with this like built
Right.
in Pluto opposition going through that 3 times, it's just been way too much, I think, for almost
Right.
everybody. Um,
Right.
with Mars moving out of its retrograde shadow, we're also likely, like, if we have been on edge, if we have been snapping at people, if we have been picking fights with people, um, that is going to sort of diminish, and we're going to be like, who have I been over the last few months? That didn't really feel like me. Um,
Yeah.
and it's interesting how many people I talk to who have felt kind of on edge and snappish over
Yeah.
the last several months. So yeah, if you feel like you have been uncharacteristically irritable, that
Mhm.
is really going to start to come down. So I'm
Oh,
looking
good.
forward for that too.
Well, and when you're swordsy and snappy, it's not really a great combo.
Not
It's
no,
not.
not. Then by the 9th, Mercury moves into Taurus. So Mercury has totally picked up speed again. It's moving quickly. Um, I love the conversation going on about Jupiter and the berries. That's awesome. Um, Mercury in Taurus, this is a wonderful placement for just having real connected conversations with people, maybe taking
Mhm.
some weekend trips out into nature where you can just be, just take a deep breath, just relax.
Right.
If the
Mhm.
first 4 months of the year has been this crazy, like, inhale, it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
as May starts, we just get this exhale. And so it's much more peaceful as we're looking towards, yeah, like May 9th, Mercury into Taurus. Um, then on the 12th, we get a full moon in Scorpio. So the sun is in Taurus, the moon in
Right.
Scorpio. Um, Different people have different thoughts about the moon in Scorpio. Because the
Mm-hmm.
moon is exalted in the opposite sign of Taurus,
Uh-huh.
it's not exalted in Scorpio.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but there's something very deeply beautiful about the moon in Scorpio energy. The moon is
Mm-hmm.
so nurturing and reflective and supportive, and Scorpio goes so deep. Um,
Yeah.
so there really is this sense of kind of being nourished and cared for
Mhm.
down to the depths of our soul, which after the first 4 months
Right.
of this year, I feel like we need that. I feel like we need not
Yes.
just like someone to pat us on the back and be like, you're going to be
Right.
okay. We need to
Right.
really feel understood, cared for, nurtured, loved,
Yeah.
supported, all the way down to our most wounded soul.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
and so I think this is going to feel very internal. I don't think many people are going to feel like, oh, let's go out and party. I don't think that's going to be
Right.
the vibe, but it will be more
Mhm.
of um, yeah, almost a feeling of being enveloped in love
Mhm.
and acceptance, and even self-acceptance. If there are areas where we've made
Right.
mistakes and, we're kind of racked with guilt or shame, this is really
Mhm.
a time of like acceptance of ourselves and forgiveness of ourselves. So I think for
Right.
those of you who do rituals around some of the new and full moon cycles, this would be a
Mhm.
wonderful one. Yeah, just nurture yourself. Maybe that's like an
Mhm.
herbal scented bubble bath. Maybe that is just lying outside on the grass in the moonlight. Um,
Mhm.
whatever that is, just like appreciating yourself, appreciating all of the difficulties you've gone through and everything that's especially over the last 6 months, everything that you've kind of weathered.
Right. Right.
And just,
Right.
yeah, it will be a time of showing appreciation deeply to yourself, and then to others as well. So if there are people where you kind of feel like, oh, yeah, they've been showing up for me and I've kind of maybe taken them
Yeah.
for granted, this will be a time
Mhm.
of just like, yeah, wanting to reach out and help support, love others deeply, as well as
Mhm.
helping and supporting and loving ourselves deeply.
Right.
So,
Wow.
again, not like this super fun full moon, but a very deeply nourishing. I think any sort of superficial fun full
Huh.
moon wouldn't heal us in the way we need to be healed after the past
Right.
4 months, you know?
Right. Well, and I mean, think of it when you're coming out of a really difficult situation. That's what you don't want to go to the club and have some drinks and get all
Right.
dressed up. You want to feel like seen and respected and heard, and a ritual honoring yourself and those who have helped you and honoring your journey sounds absolutely beautiful, like very healing, because some of us have really been healing over this time, like whether we want
Yeah.
to or not, so some of it's been like,
Right.
you're coming, and you're like, but no, and then like, no, you're
Oh,
coming.
yeah.
And so, like having something like that, is beautiful. So what is it, everybody went jump tonight? Or at my house, as we sing, everybody was kung fu fighting. Just has to. They just kung fu fight each other. Oh man.
So, yeah, I would encourage everybody on the 12th during that full moon, if nothing else, even if you don't do the full rituals around
Right.
the lunations, just take 5 minutes and list some
Hmm.
things about yourself you are very grateful for. Just like,
Hmm.
I went through this and it was really difficult, but I did the best I could. And,
Right.
any areas where, yeah, you've kind of have not appreciated yourself enough or have not appreciated others enough,
Hmm.
this is a time. Show that appreciation.
Hmm. Mhm.
So yeah, I do feel like this is an incredibly healing full moon coming after an extremely difficult 6 months. So
Oh, beautiful.
let's take the nourishment, people. Let's take the
Yeah.
healing. Let's not just breeze
Yeah.
by it. And um, the other interesting thing with Scorpio full moons, sometimes our dreams are more vivid or deeper, like
Mm.
hitting a deeper part of our psyche, or maybe we remember more of our dreams. So
Right.
that's something to keep in mind as well. If you don't consciously engage with this full moon energy, it's likely your unconscious will anyway. And so you may find that around the 12th, the 13th, you're having some vivid dreams. And, rather than just saying, oh, that was weird, whatever, I'm going on about my
Right.
day, really take those dreams. What do they mean? What emotions were you feeling? What symbolism did you see in there? What were the colors? Who were the people? Where did the dream take place? Um, because again, these energies, like our souls want to respond to these energies. If we are responding consciously in waking life, great, we can be more intentional. But if not, if we're not sure how to engage with these energies intentionally, your unconscious will probably show you. So
Right.
yeah, keeping in mind this is just a time to be extra intentional, extra aware for full healing.
You
Okay.
know, I I am all about the healing and the love and especially some of what we have gone through. I just want to honor and acknowledge this for everybody is it has been hard. It has been difficult. It has, we joke about it like, oh, you're coming whether you want to or not. But it's kind of, I mean, it's sort of been that way for me. It's just been like, we're going. And so to be able to honor and give yourself that kind of gratitude, um, please
Mm.
circle it on your calendar. Like, really do that for yourself. Show up for yourself. Um, that just that speaks to my heart.
Mm. Well, and I think it's important too because oftentimes with these type of like astrology look aheads, we all kind of
Mhm.
focus on like, oh, this is going to be a bad day. Oh, this is going to be bad.
Right,
Oh, don't do anything on this day.
right.
Which, yes, it's helpful for that in the same way that if you get a weather report and it says it's going to be
Mhm,
stormy and there's going to be a
mhm,
tornado, a hurricane, and a
mhm.
flood, yes, that is useful. Yes, listen to the
Right,
weather report. Yes,
right,
take
right.
action based on what the weather report is saying. But if all we do is sort of chase storms and like, where's the next thundercloud? Where's the next hurricane? Where's the
Yeah,
next tornado? We're really not living our best life. We're kind of, there's such a fine line. And I think about this with astrology all of the
yeah,
time. Where is that
yeah.
line between this is helpful for me and this is just taking me into a dark hole? I don't want to think about how
Right,
hard this will be, and so I think all of us
right.
line there and a different boundary, and maybe at different points in our life, that boundary is in a different place. But we always
Mhm.
want the astrology to be supportive. And,
Right.
if you're looking at the astrology and you're like, oh, Mars is retrograde and now Mercury's going to be retrograde and Pluto's changing signs. And if that just makes us
Right.
stressed, you know what? Don't look at the astrology weather for a while. Just
Yeah.
live your life.
Yeah.
Um, but in the context of a lot of the more difficult energies we've been talking about for the last 6 months, there have been a lot of metaphorical storms on the astrology
Yeah.
report over the last 6 months. And even when they're not bad, they're disconcerting, they're destabilizing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so please, take the Scorpio full moon, enjoy the Scorpio full
Right.
moon, like
Yes.
don't just say, where's the next storm? Where's the next bad day?
Right.
Really,
Right.
really take this love, acceptance, healing. Um, this is sort of our time of integration. of a lot of the other experiences. So
Well,
let's make the move today.
even even, one of my favorite memories, I don't think I've even told you guys this. It was we were in Kentucky. We were living in Kentucky and it was raining outside. And I mean, it was really raining. And Michael, he knows I love the rain. It's why I love Washington State. But he's like, come with me. And I'm like, why? What? He's like, just come with me. And we danced in our front yard in the rain, in the rain.
Oh,
And the neighbors were looking at us and laughing. And then next thing I know, it was like this little dance party. Everybody else just decided they were going to dance in the rain too. So, there's that too. You can, and then of course we were laughing and we were soaked and we had to go in and change clothes. But even at that, so what if it gets a little rain? Like
yeah.
it can be something beautiful. So don't, when the rain comes, you don't have to hide. There's a benefit for all of it.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to encourage you in that way. I don't know. I'm just feeling very encouraging today.
I love that. And maybe
Interruptive and encouraging.
you're starting to feel that Taurus sun energy, moving
Yeah.
away from the Aries sun
Right.
disruption conflict. Yeah, maybe you're
Right.
starting to feel that
And
now because you did say for you the energies tend to feel like a slow build.
yes,
I love
yes.
it.
I'm ready for it.
And so this full moon in Scorpio is on the 12th. Then on the 15th, Venus moves out of her retrograde shadow. So now
Okay.
Mars is out of their shadow, and Mercury and Venus. So we've really got, retrogrades are behind us for right now. Yay. So again, all of the
Yes.
planets are sort of moving ahead, full steam, treading new ground. Um, you know, I know we've talked so much over the last couple of months in these, astro forecasts about it's a good
Mhm.
time to reflect. It's a good time to retrospect. It's not a good time to make big moves.
Right.
Now
Right.
we are moving toward the time as we're getting into May where it is time to make moves. And so really just if for those of us who have really kind of tried to put in the time and do that reflection, that
Mhm.
retrospect, it's going to feel so clear to us what the forward
Nice.
direction is. And if we didn't do the reflection and retrospect, or we didn't journal and don't have anything to look back to know where we were, um, the energies will still find us. It's just always
Mhm.
the most helpful if we can approach it intentionally.
Yeah.
We sort of get the most out of it if we can be intentional.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, I'm incredibly excited for the 15th when Venus is moving out of her retrograde shadow. Everybody's out of their retrograde shadow. Everybody's moving full steam ahead, back up to their normal speed. Um, yeah, feels like
Awesome.
by the time we're getting into mid-May, the energies are just really loosening. Um,
Right.
and then a
Right.
couple days later, the sun conjoins Uranus near the end of Taurus. This is the
Mhm.
last time the sun will conjoin Uranus in Taurus in any of our lifetimes.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, because Uranus is moving into Gemini in June.
Mhm.
And then we've got Uranus in Gemini.
Right.
And Uranus, it takes Uranus 84 years to make a full rotation around the zodiac.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so the sun has been conjoining Uranus every year, for the last 6 or 7
Mhm.
years with Uranus and Taurus.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, Uranus and Taurus, it's been an interesting 6 or 7 years. I think we could all agree on that.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting 6 or 7
Right.
years. Um,
Yes, it has.
and Uranus in Taurus, Uranus likes to disrupt, to rebel, to tear things down. There are some signs that energy works really well with. Like
Mhm.
Aquarius is a sign Uranus really likes. Uranus and
Right.
Aquarius are like, this isn't working, tear it down. Um,
Right. Right.
Uranus and Taurus, Taurus likes grounded stability, fixed earth,
Mhm.
no change. Um,
Mhm.
so much about Uranus's time in Taurus has been kind of the destabilization of basic stuff, whether that's the
Oh.
economy, whether that's health or
Mhm.
shelter, food, um, things that feel like they should be sort of foundational. There's
Mhm.
been a huge
Mhm.
disruption of that over the last 6 to 7 years, and we've seen that across so many different dimensions. Yeah, literally so many different dimensions. Certainly, you could look at geopolitical stuff. You could look at economic stuff. You could look at
Right.
social movement stuff. But there's just
Mhm.
been yeah, insane disruptions and areas where, and even just thinking about right now, like in the US economy, so many people have lost their
Right.
jobs and are worried about losing their jobs with COVID,
Yeah.
such a health crisis. People were worried about getting
Right.
sick, especially if they had pre-existing conditions or, immunity problems in general.
Right.
Again, just sort of these foundational things people have
Mhm.
been worried about. And
Right.
so Uranus and Taurus, when the sun conjoins, has been conjoining Uranus each year in May, there's sort of been this focal point on how destabilizing our basic necessities might be and how
Right.
little
Right.
there is that we can anchor onto and hold onto that won't move and change. Um, so that has been sort of it's been so much a theme of our past 6 or 7 years that I think most of us have forgotten that this is just a cycle. And it's felt
Right.
more like, oh, this is the norm. Yeah, you can't depend on
Yeah.
keeping your job.
Yeah.
We might be in trade wars with other countries, or we might get sick, and that might be,
Right.
maybe our body can't handle that sickness. It's
Right.
just, no matter what axis we look at, we're just like, oh, you just can't depend on anything. That's the answer. You just can't
Yeah.
depend on
Yeah.
anything. And
Right.
so
Right.
I think this last sun conjoining Uranus is going to be one last sort of hit of that. Just like, but that's going to feel like, okay, we're closing this down. Maybe there are starting to be some glimmers of light at the end of the tunnel, some glimmers of things we could depend on. Now, Uranus always is somewhere in the sky.
Mhm.
It's always in some sign. So it's not like, oh, we can rely on everything now. Everything is super stable. Uranus is not disappearing, people. It's just going to move to a
Right.
new sign.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so, but Uranus and Gemini, Uranus is much more comfortable in the air signs. Gemini is curious, gets bored easily, wants to change its mind anyway. Uranus and
Uh-huh.
Gemini, yes, disruptions, sure, but Gemini is pretty comfy with that. Those
Right.
disruptions
Right.
will look less foundational, to our core, health, money, safety, shelter, those kinds of things. So I think there will feel almost like an odd, maybe like, yeah, closing out of some of this energy around, yeah, what did we say, the 17th, as the sun conjoins Uranus. Um, Almost like, uh, yeah, we really haven't been able to depend on any foundational stuff, but that's weird. It seems like we should be able to rely on some
Right.
foundational stuff. So that's going to be some
Right.
of that
Right.
energy towards the 17th of like, oh, this is weird. It's weird that
Mhm.
that there's been nothing that we can hold on to. Um,
Right.
so yeah, and I think with the sun in Taurus too, it's that more grounded, stable time. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think in general, all of May is just going to feel like such a breath of fresh air after the chaoticness of 2025 so far, and the nodes changing signs and the eclipses and Neptune changing signs.
Right.
It's been a lot. So yeah,
Right.
again, this will kind of feel like, oh yeah, I can't depend. I have not been able to depend on things, but that's pretty weird. It seems like there should be
Right.
something basic I
Right.
could sort of rely
Right.
on. So I think
right.
that is going to be refreshing energy
Oh, good.
by the 17th.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And guys, I'm so sorry. My awnings are just blowing all over. I thought my front one was literally going to blow off because it's moving around. So if you see me looking around or I suddenly go off screen, I'm okay. I'm just probably checking to make because they're too big for me to pull in on my own. They're manual. I don't have a push button.
Oh,
And thankfully, they're steel. If they were aluminum, they'd be gone by this point. But it's too dangerous for me to try to pull them in. So they're just kind of here. So I've got like an RV with wings. So
oh my
let's see
gosh, you're
how
going to
this
take off
goes.
and fly.
Right, right, right.
Gosh.
To my life.
Okay. We're sending you good energy. You really take that air, of your Aquarius to the limit out there in the
I
windstorm.
mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a rebel. I'm like, but what is the limit of what my RV can handle? I think we're close to it.
You're
So
going to
if we
ride
could
that
just
limit.
right, right. So universe, if we could slow it down a little bit, I'd appreciate that.
Well,
No,
I
I
do
mean,
think by May it's coming. There will still be changes for the rest of the year. Saturn still has to move into Neptune. Uranus still has to move into
right,
Gemini. But we will have cleared eclipse season. We will have cleared the
nice.
nodes changing signs. And I really feel like Neptune, Saturn changes signs every 2.5 years. So
Mhm.
it's not as big a deal when Saturn
Right,
changes signs. Neptune is the every
mhm,
14 years. So it's just a more
right,
massive, weighty, gravity inducing shift.
oh,
So
right,
yeah,
right.
May is going to feel lighter and more grounded, no matter which way we look at it. Once we get past that last Pluto Mars opposition.
Mhm.
Then by the 19th, the Sun, it's in Taurus at the very end of Taurus. It's next to Uranus and it trines Saturn in Pisces at the very
Mhm.
final degree of Taurus and Pisces. Those final degrees, they're called the anaretic degrees. The very last degree of a sign really has some oomph to it. So, as
Mm.
the Sun is trining Saturn, this is a time when hard work pays off. So, this is a time,
Okay.
yeah, seeing some of the fruits of hard work or some of the work that we do around this time is likely to provide us some opportunities, some kind of luck. But
Mhm.
yeah, this is a time for like hard work pays off. Yeah, if you have
Right,
sowed the seeds, watered the seeds, they get to come up
right,
around this
right.
time. So
Wonderful.
again, we're seeing more of uh, a lightheartedness that was kind of conspicuously absent in the beginning part of the year.
Right. I'm ready for
Um,
that.
I know. Same. And then on the 20th, the sun moves into Gemini. And it's interesting that as the sun moves into Gemini, it does that just as the moon also moves into Pisces, which gives us that sun moon square, which is it's going to be the waning half moon. Um, but yeah, as the sun moves into Gemini, um, there is going to be a shift towards curiosity. It's almost like if we are feeling too destabilized, we don't even have the
Mhm.
energy to be curious. We're just like holding on to
Oh, right,
whatever piece of driftwood we can for dear life. Um, no one's like,
right.
I wonder about this. It's just like, no, I gotta survive right now. I'll get back to you on the curiosity stuff later.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
with the month of May being more stabilizing, more grounded, connecting back into our purpose, the reason why we're working the way we are, um, yeah, as the sun moves into Gemini on the 20th, it will start to feel more like we are in a stable enough place to be curious again. And we've spent so
Oh,
much
good.
time reflecting, retrospecting, looking back that now we'll actually
Right.
have the energy to kind of look forward and say, I wonder what about this? What if I tried this? This would be really interesting, just in a way we really have not had capacity to do in the first part of the year.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, I feel like Gemini season, it's going to be a much less tense start than the start of Pisces season, Aries season, Taurus season. May really
Right.
does feel like a pretty significant shift for 2025. And then if we kind of zoom out quickly and look at the bigger picture, yeah, Neptune is in Aries. Saturn is going to be moving into Aries, I think in Gemini season. And then by
Mhm.
early Cancer season, Uranus is going to move into Gemini. Um, so more energy changes, but then by the fourth quarter of the year, Neptune will have
Mhm.
retrograded back into Pisces. Saturn will have retrograded back into Pisces. We'll start to have um, the last part of 2025 is going to look a lot more like 2024. So we've kind
Oh,
of had this
okay.
preview of this is
Mhm.
what Neptune and Aries is going to look like. Here's some chaoticness for you, but there will be kind
Right.
of a steadying, peaceful period toward the end of this
Mhm.
year that's
Mhm.
will feel like, oh, I know what this energy looks like. I've been here. I know my
Right.
way around this. So even though there's so much chaoticness coming, we will kind of get a
Mhm.
retrograde back into some familiar energy to sort of regroup, catch our breath, recenter before Neptune and Saturn move into Aries for good in
Oh.
2026.
Oh, good. I'm ready for that. I mean, I don't mind the ups and downs as long as there's like a place where you can kind of level out or you can be like, okay, I know this.
Yes, and May,
That
honestly, May is that point. And it's important to realize
okay.
too, if all we do is ride the crazy waves and are on
Mhm.
the crazy train, um,
Mhm.
we don't actually integrate any lessons. We don't actually
Right.
learn anything. We
Yeah.
survive, but we don't
Right.
learn. We don't grow.
Right.
Going through things by themselves is not going to bring much growth. It's really about how do
Right.
we integrate those? How do we reflect on those intentionally and take lessons from those?
Mhm.
And so May will be about that. Like, okay, we've been through a bunch of stuff. Yeah, let's catch our breath. Let's integrate it and
Right.
let's prepare to move forward.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Integrate and move forward. It sounds beautiful.
Themes for May. But just a reminder,
Yes.
everybody, yeah, that first um, week or so is still a little tricky of Taurus season.
Right.
It's really by the
Right.
time we get to May that the energies start to loosen up. Um,
Right.
yes, yes. So we'll
Well,
still
at
have
least
a
we
little bit of stuff to go through before we get to the resting
yeah.
part.
It at least we know though. And that to me is the big thing. Like I can't you guys know me. I like to know the ending of the movie before it starts. I read the last chapter of the book. This at least helps my anxiety because I'm like, okay, I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but I know it's going to do this or this or that or this, whatever it does. Knowing that helps it helps me a lot. I mean, it really does, which is why this
Mm,
is all so important to me, is because it's like, if it helps me, it might help one other person,
mhm.
and if it can help them to kind of navigate that, then I'm all for it, really,
Yeah. Well, that is
just
so much
being able
about
to get through this.
your channel is about. Is really kind of
Yeah,
helping others, being here to light
right?
the way for others.
Yes, yes. Well, and I wanted to try to play you this song because Ben sent the link, but I don't know how to do it. So if I just click it in the comments, will it come up and play or will it shut down my stream? Does anybody know? Because I
I
wanted to play it.
You can try it, Christy, and
Let me try.
worst case, if we all drop suddenly, that's why.
Right. So let's try this. If we drop, I apologize, but I'm gonna try this. Let's see. Um, oh, it just hold on. Will it?
There might
I
be a
don't
way
know
to
if it.
share your screen, Christy, because there's a share screen. Let me try pressing that.
Mm,
Yeah, and then I think you just have to select also share audio.
Where's share screen?
It's a little, it looks like a computer monitor with an up arrow in it. It'll be in Restream.
Computer monitor.
I
I've
mean,
got
that's what
like
it looks like
something.
to me. Is it? Do you
Oh
see
well,
like your, you know what? I can probably do this because Ben put the link,
you do?
right? Did Ben put the link in the, yes,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did.
He put it in the chat. Let me get it off of here.
Yeah, let me find
I
it
just
again.
wanted to
Okay,
share it with you guys for those of you that are still here.
okay. I'm gonna try sharing this.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. Oh, here we go.
Can you hear it?
Yes. Can you guys hear it?
I remember the first time I saw you, my world changed. This love I felt I had never known could be so true. Everything I believed got rearranged. All those miles and long roads seem like years ago. When you cried, I felt your tears. I love you in ways I didn't know I could. If I had it to do again, I would. You have never roamed far from my mind. There are times I beg, please. Comfort can be hard to find. I pray for the pain to ease. I pray. There are things I cannot control, even though I try. You have your life now, and I have mine. All I want is for you to reach for the sky. You are who lives most. Your tears and dreams I hold close. In you I will always believe.
You can go ahead and stop it if you want to.
Almost done.
Oh, okay.
You can't interrupt it, Christy.
I wasn't sure how much was left on it, and I
Oh,
know everybody's been here for like an hour and a half.
I
But
know, but still, thank you so much for sharing. What gorgeous,
yeah.
gorgeous words.
Well,
Definitely came from
Cosmic,
your heart.
yeah, Cosmic, she put the melody to it, and there's a whole story behind
Mm,
it for her because she asked me if I wanted to be a part of that, and I was like, you know what, you go ahead and just do whatever you want to do with it. Like, here's the words, and this is kind of how I am. I'm like, look, here's the words. Sometimes, like the song I wrote for the intro, I definitely told Ben, I was like, this is kind of what I'm thinking, but she did an amazing job with it, and she did
mm,
really good. And there's, if you head over to her channel, there's a whole show where she talks about it. But I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of the work she did on it. And she had it up on her YouTube, and somebody came over thinking it was a Skid Row song. You know that song Skid Row sings "I Remember You." They thought it was that, and then they listened to it, and then they're like, wait a minute, this was a whole vibe
mm,
I didn't even know existed or that I needed, and I like it. So she did an amazing job. And
mm,
it's only I only did part, and she did a big part. And
mm,
so yeah, go give it a listen if you guys liked it. But it was just wrote at a time where it was very raw for me. And so and I didn't know how long. I knew it was a long song, but I wasn't quite sure. And so I think she even said here, there's a reason it's long and changes because along an ever-changing road, we don't know where it's going to end. So
mm.
yeah, yeah. But you guys have stuck around. It seems like I'm always at an hour and a half or 2 hours. So I just appreciate you guys sticking around with me. But please go over and check out her channel. She's got an amazing channel if you guys are looking for peer support. And I want to say too, just because this person might have missed it this morning. Anybody out there that's celebrating, 36 or 7 days of sobriety, I'm so proud of you. So yeah, so you guys who are working hard on yourselves and your journeys, just know that even though we're not a peer support channel, I mean, we support each other, but we're not that kind of a channel. If you need that kind of a channel, check out Cosmic. But I always want you guys to know that you can just, share those things. We're here because whether it's a sobriety journey, an addiction journey, a disordered eating journey, just the journey, we're here to support you. And I want you to know that you can come here and share those milestones. I encourage you to do that. Because that's what we're here for. I can't help you through that, but I can celebrate it with you. So I just wanted
Mhm.
to say that. Um, so anyway, you guys, I am going to go ahead and end it on that note. I think Cosmic, don't you go live, Cosmic, in a little bit? Yeah, 36 days. Okay, I gave you an extra day. So there you go. So now you have to make it one more day because you can't make a liar out of me. No, I'm kidding. Um, but I think Cosmic, don't you go live at 4:40 Eastern? Is that when you go live? Let let us know in case anybody wants that. And then I just also want to say, if anybody's struggling, smartrecovery.org is a great resource if AA is not your thing. And if you guys are ever in crisis, you can call or text 988 in the States. In Canada, if you are in crisis, and they can help you, or if someone that you know is in crisis, you can text that, and they will help you to help the person
Mhm.
that you're with. So Oh, you're on tomorrow. Okay, well, I'm just all over the place. So tomorrow, check her out if you're needing some peer support. But in the meantime, um, thank you so much for being here, guys. Don't forget, we've got the Just Tarot in the mornings. It is at 10:30. So if you're on someone else's live, that's cool. You do not have to leave. Just check it out later in the day when you can, because there's been some really good messages coming through that I was very excited to share with you guys. And in the meantime, I think we will go ahead and end this as we always do. So go conquer your world as only you can. We will be here to help you light the way. We'll see you guys later.
Well,